17.
I think it has been covered when they have done well, but that's a byproduct of them doing well. So they've hit the headlines because they've been successful, therefore it's shown. I don't think if they were unsuccessful it would be shown. So there has been a difference, but only because they've done well, whereas male sport is on all the time. I think it's quite a vicious circle, because for there to be media coverage, there needs to be interest in the sports. But without media coverage, how are you going to get interest in the sports? Then we broach into how much they're paid, the standard of play, how much time they play for. Varies a lot between sports and then between genders. So I think that the media have a responsibility and can influence quite heavily the interest in sports if they covered it more. However, they are at the end of the day a business, and they need people to watch what they're putting on. I mean, the classic example is the women's England cricket team that outperform the men's England cricket team in every single tournament that they do, yet the coverage of that is minimal. There's better coverage for athletics, I'd say, is quite equal, as is tennis, as is golf, but team sports needs to be more.
Yeah, definitely. Like, especially over the past couple of years, like when it's become professional, like obviously they're getting media people in to do it and stuff. So definitely, especially in football, like, and like cricket and stuff like that as well, there's been a lot more, you see a lot more about it, and like the women's hockey team and stuff at the Olympics and that, it definitely is a lot more media coverage.
Issues to do with football, there's a lot of football coverage that I'm very conscious of, though I've never watched football, I've never played it. I can tell you that it's football and it's always about the men, whether it's their sex lives, how much money they're earning, whether there's been controversy. I can't ever remember seeing an article about a female football player. Basketball, again, male. Cricket, male. Let me think of some females. The last time I remember reading about a female was the British, was she a runner, and she's speaking out about suffering from self-harming. So and it had nothing to do with it, but it was connected with mental health. So I'd probably say very little on women, predominantly male. I think if it tends to be with women, it's in the context of discrepancies in pay and prize money, because I'm thinking of tennis, though there's been changes there. If it's about sports themselves, the sports persons themselves, as I've just said, often the portrayal of the men is very different to women. With women, I always associate it with what society would perceive as negative connotations in terms of the inequality, or if it is about women, it's linked to an emotive issue or topic rather than them as sports people themselves. Whereas men, it's often about them and their teams or sport they are involved in?
There has been more, but I mean, ultimately, it's still very male dominated. If you, for example, like I talk about Serena, you know, she would be in front of the magazine covers, but if you ask anyone in this school, what other female tennis players do you know? How many more would they say? But if I asked, how many tennis players do you know that are male? You could probably list out at least 3. And I think that's quite true for most sports, if you think about it. Football, I don't even think I know a female professional football player. It may not have as much of an impact as it should because it's very limited. Like you say, how much coverage? Like, although they're portrayed well, it's not being seen by a lot of people because there isn't as much of it to show.
Yeah, I'd probably say Farah Williams, who plays for Reading in England, because she coached me when I was younger at Everton, and like she'd been through quite a lot of like hard stuff like when she was younger, and she still managed to like stick with football, and now she's one of the best players for England. So knowing like what sort of, say, like Farah or others have been through, and then they can still play, and also because it wasn't professional for them at first, so the fact that they had to have jobs at the same time and they still managed to play football, it shows that like it is doable now for like women. So definitely, yeah, I think it really helped.